First of all, Baruch Hashem, I say it was very successful last time. After people don't have to come anymore. So that's Machayim. That's the first sign. That's a good sign. Normally, it's good to begin where we left off last week, or last time. I just don't know where we left off. You never gave me the tape. I don't know what I said. The speakers all know a good devout Torah you could repeat after a week, but I didn't forget it already. A story you could repeat after 4 months. A joke you could repeat after 8 months. Because they forgot already. Halacha I don't know, but if you remember, and I said it already last week, last time remind me, and we'll just gloss over it, okay? Mitzvah Sessa la'av lumel es benoi. The mitzvah says on a father to be Milah his son. I think we spoke about some aspects of this last week. What happens when Rahman al-Islam, a young couple, got divorced while the mother was pregnant? And she is absolutely not going to give the father a say in this child whatsoever. And could be the child is the father's Netzisroel and the mother is there. Because the mitzvah says say on the father to make a bris on his son. It's his son. L'chol halochas, it's his son. It's his mitzvah say that this child has a bris. It's not her mitzvah at all, not. And the halachas ein mulen b'noi shalodam shloi midaitoi. They have no right. Something I'm not doing good?
Something. No.
Is the halachas ein mulen b'noi shalodam shloi midaitoi. So she is not allowed to choose a moil. She is not allowed to be involved in the bris without his permission. If he gives permission, she can do whatever she wants. But if he doesn't give permission, he has the right to choose. As far as naming is, that has already different halachas, because we find in the Torah also that when Yehuda wasn't there, she gave a name for her sons. In the Torah, she gave a name, and he was Bechsiv, Yehuda was not home when she had the baby, so she gave a name. So that is something which you have to ask Rabbunim. But in mitzad halacha, legabe, who has the right to make a bris, is mitzvahs esrei ala av lumeles benoi. We spoke about this, what happens when, unfortunately, a Jewish girl married a guy, and there's no av, there's no Torah diga av. Whose mitzvahs says to make a bris? Versteht sich, it's mitzvah labesden, but if the mother is involved and she wants to make a bris, then she's mekayim a mitzvah. The Rishonim say that even though Isha is not mitzvah in Milah, we learn kasha tziva oisay lekim, oisay v'loy oisah, a woman is not mitzvah, but the Milah brings, other Rishonim bring that hishtadlis, that the child should have a bris, she's mekayim a mitzvah, so she does every mitzvah. Now there's a big halach and the big machloek in the poskim. The pashtus, everyone knows that a child of a Jewish mother and a Goyish father, the child is Jewish. We know that. If the mother is Jewish, the child is Jewish, and if the father is Jewish and the mother is not, then the child is a Goy, as of Lena Chros van Apusik, that is get noch the mama, it goes to the mother. The Rebbe Kiva Eger brings Toisvus and Mashor, Kiva Eger, one of the Chedushim in Shechanor, that from Toisvus and Kedushin is mashma that the child actually needs Geirus, and it needs a child of a Jewish mother and a Goyish father needs Geirus, and he needs Tefillah to become a Jew. According to that Shita in Toisvus, child's bris cannot be done on Shabbos because he's not considered Jewish. And Milah v'ger is not for Shabbos. However, most poskim paskin that a Jew is, that the child is 100% Jewish, does not need Tevila, and as I fitzach the Welt, all the Russians that came, thousands of Russians came where there were mixed marriages, and in all of Eastern Europe you have so many cases where the fathers, all the Rabbonim accepted the children of these mothers as 100% Jewish without Tevila, without anything. And as I fitzach the poskim, that such a bris could be done on Shabbos. The nafkamin is many times, normally when the father's a guy, he's not interested that bris has to be dafka done on Shabbos. If he's already masking for the woman, and the woman who married a guy is usually not such a tzaddikus that she wants the bris dafka be on Mashmini, so usually the shaila doesn't happen. Recently we had a case in Lakewood where a young couple adopted a child, a baby, that was born to a Jewish mother and a Goyish father. And she was an unmarried woman, and she had a baby, but from a guy. So, and she gave up the child for adoption immediately after birth. Now, this child is a Jewish child. He's mechuyev to have a bris on Shabbos. And the Rebbeinu were done. Yes, but it's not as is mechosh shav kivei geshit is menat chosh. Excuse me a second. So I got a call from one of the Rabbonim. So I told him, I remember years ago, this must be about 30 some odd years ago, I still lived in Brooklyn, and we had a Rosh Hashanah Shechalis B'Shabbos. I got a call from a woman in the Lower East Side that she had an anicle. Unfortunately, her son-in-law is not Jewish, and the bris falls out on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, which is on Shabbos, and she wants to make the bris on Rosh Hashanah. That means I have to leave over my shul where, everybody likes to daven in his shul, and walk the bridge, walk 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and to do the bris there. And I was wondering, is a mitzvah to do it? Are you allowed to do it? So I called up Moshe Big. Moshe Big Poisek in Bar Park. So he told me, come out bezeh alushan. Ich kann dir nicht sagen, als du bist mechiv zu gehen. Aber Tome, du siehst das Zechus in dem heiligen Tug, sollst du gehen. So I can't tell you you're mechiv to go. There are other Mahalim in Brooklyn. You're not the only one to go. But if you want to have a Zechus in the heilige Tug of Rosh Hashanah, no. So I did that. But the Shabbos, how do you carry the baby? So the Gemara says, oh, we asked Rabbi Feinstein. He said, it's no problem. The father should push him. There's in Burbank, a store, Focus Electronics. Somebody runs it, Zinger. His father was a roof on the Lower East Side. It's called the Brezhana Shul on East 6th Street. I was in his shul, one of his mabatim, and one of his members. So that was the story. But Lemaisa, so was Takar Shoshona Shechalis B'Shabbos, and we did the bris where the child was from a Goyish father and a Jewish mother, and not gemacht the bris.
You have to devour every time that the mother's Jewish?
Yes.
How do you
when it's a suffix. When somebody once he called me, I don't know if this guy is Jewish.
Russia. How do you devour every time that the mother?
It was very hard. Mostly we had Russian-speaking people who were able to be Mavarer. It's very hard. It wasn't easy. I learned myself when I was in Russia a particular trick which worked most of the times. Here's my uncle here. He was actually lived in Russia for a year when he was a baby. His parents were teaching there. And while his father was running a camp one summer, I went up to do Brissen, and suddenly it's an interesting story, it's not of Milah, two people came to have a bris done. So one person came, he's a middle-aged man, and he had no children from his first wife, she died, he just remarried again, and he had a baby, and he wants the bris done. The baby was about 2 weeks old, we did the bris on him. By the way, I asked him, "Wie kommt ihr? From where are you?" So he says, little, I can't even say village, a hamlet. He tells me the Russian word for hamlet, Mamsha, a Sinoi, a kleine Sinoi. So you can test me, I know my geography. Hey, you never heard of it. I said, right. Hey, little Sinoi called Skulien. I said, Skulien? Oh, the Rebbe wohnt doch leben in Brooklyn. The Skulien Rebbe lives with us. I know, Skulien never had a tzaddik. What are you talking about? Skulien never had a tzaddik, we had a roof, not a tzaddik. A tzaddik in dead villages was a Rebbe. But Skulien, the Rebbe's father, was a roof in Skulien. So it heißt nicht ganz tzaddik of Skulien. So wer Strul Avrum heißt ja? Wer Strul Avrum? Ich Strul. Geh zug Strul, als ich bin gewesen, you all speak Yiddish now, I'll translate, that when his father, the old Skulien Rebbe, had to escape from Skulien to Chernivitz, mein Tate Avrum Balagula, Avrum was had a wagon, and that was his coach. He took him, and he was behalten in the wagon. I was also in the wagon then at that time. Geh zuge mich schicke my Gris. So when I came back, I went to Skulien Rebbe, and I told him the story. He said, jeder gesagt, ich bin kein Tzaddik in Skulien, nor a roof is Skulien. He burst out laughing. He says, ich gedenkt das, aber Tomer sucht es anders. Anyway, the second person came with his wife, and I was talking to Supakan, his wife, if she's Jewish or not. And he showed me a exhibit that somebody wrote. So when I used to ask them, are you Jewish? Yes. They answered yes. Very easy to answer yes. But then I realized, I said a statement, you're not Jewish. So she would have to say, no, I am Jewish. That she couldn't say. A goiter is very easy. They taught her to say, if the Rebbe asks you, are you Jewish? You go, yeah, okay. Yeah. But if I say you're not Jewish as a statement, and she has to say, no, you're wrong, I am Jewish. She couldn't say it. The goiter couldn't say it. It was very hard for her to say it. And that worked most of the times. But we tried to be, as much as we could. We had a shaila with Rabbi Yashiv Bunk way back in the early days when we went to Russia, when Russians came to America. The Feivel Coin, the Balbadi HaShulchan, sent for us a shaila for Rabbi Yashiv. We have many shailas. First of all, about making a brocha on this baby. You make a brocha levatola. Number two, you put such children into cheder. Also, lelamed nachri Torah. You're not allowed to teach somebody Torah. What do you do with them? There are various halachas that we had with shailas. So Rabbi Yashiv said like this: a person comes and tainas he's Jewish. Mi shebo vome Yehudi ani in Ebenezer steht der Halach ist, als es Neman ist begleibt. Versteht sich aber nur, wenn es muchsik Yehudi. He davens, you see him by kosher only, and tut Sache was any Yiddish. You just didn't know him, but if a guy comes from Russia, doesn't feel sich Yiddish bechlal nicht, he says Yehudi ani is bleibt Sofik. Mit gewisser andere Scheides diese Massas Binyamin, the truth is Massas Binyamin, the Paskins that it's even if Rov Ayidin, we go Kol Kavul Kamechza Mechza, this bleibt nicht mehr, weil der Sufik ist neu, der Bemukha Makvi ist in Russia, so it's a ganze Scheile, so bleibt Sufik von Ayid, except if he has Edom. But as a tainet that is Ayid, is mechuyev mit Bris. What are you doing? Tainet ben Ayid, darf Bris. So you're mechuyev to make a Bris for him, but don't make a brocha. However, what Dominic was in those days, we didn't do one bris at a time. We lined up 5, 8, 10 at a time. So Rabbi Yashav says, make sure that the first one you do is one which mechuyev a brocha, and have in mind to be moitza all the others. As those are mamachan. Rabbi Yashav Bechlal had the shaila by twins. There's a big shaila what to do. We know that a sheichet, when he shechts a behemah, comes into the schlachthaus in the morning, makes a brocha la shchita, and as many animals as they bring in, let's make another brocha. And even if he has his time now to rest for 30 minutes, he gets his, a half hour of rest, and he starts shechting again, he does make another brocha. Why? Because one brocha is good for alles. By Milah, the minig is not like that. When you have twins, first of all, if you have two different babies from two different families, you could say, this work can have charota, not bring his baby. But when you're doing twins, the father gave you both babies, what should you do? And both are there in shul. So, as machlokes hapoiskim, the minig oilim is that you make each one a brocha separately. You make the shail is only on the moil, and on the via ben, and on the person who makes bori piagofen. Should you make another bori piagofen? So that's usually you're not mechaber the same person to make the brochas and the kris Hashem. But it be forget. The father's so happy to have an opportunity to give more zaydas, more rabun, and whatever it is. However, the moil is the same one, and he makes knowing that 5-7 minutes later, I'm doing the other baby, the brother of this one. Is he allowed to make two brochas or not? In Shech Nochmet Gepaske, the minig is that you do make two brochas, but the father that makes the lachnisoi could also make one brocha for both, or the moil. Go make a hefsek for a minute and go out of the building. Once you go out of the building, it's considered a hefsek, and you come back again and you make two brochas. But Rabbi Yashiv had gehalten as you have to make only one brocha. He was very firm about it. When you have a twins, especially if you gave him some course, you had no choice. So the Mar Brandstoffer told me once when he had such a case by Rabbi Yashiv, he made sure that the second baby is sitting on Kisa Shel Eliyahu. He told Rabbi Yashiv that the Rebbe is makbet. Says, der Rebbe sitzen auf ein Chair mit ein Baby, der zweite Sadiker sitzt neben dem Rebbe mit der zweite Baby, and he made the book, made this bris, quickly put on a bandage, and right away made this bris without a second brocha. But however, if you take the baby out and bring in the other baby, since many goyim missed to make two brochas, so Rav Yashiv was a little upset to do it my way, but he was also, but this was masking. But at least you didn't make two brochas, because Rav Yashiv had galten says brocha levatola to make. So, but he told us when we do adults, and one is a suffix, you make the first one, and then he said legabe cheder, you could teach them in cheder. By the way, you could teach them Torah, and you have in mind that in case he's not Jewish, it's going to be l'shem geris. You're allowed to teach a ger, a prospective ger. You're allowed to teach Torah, so that's not an issue. Father, mitzvah es alav lumeles benoi. We have many times where father says, "I'd like to make the bris." Yeah, I watched once or twice to do bris. I want to make a bris. Lemaisa, we never saw gedolim that told somebody it's a midah for you to do a bris. The Gemara steht as in a blaze of the Milah, the soft mesechta. Tunin abonan. Hamol mevorach asher k'shur mesechtzvoni al Milah. Avia ben mevorach lachnisa bevisa shel Avram Avinu. What does the Gemara say? Avia ben bevorach al Milah v'lahachnisoi. V'im achar mol, hamoil loy medus brocha des brocha. It was a dova poshet that there's a moil who makes a brocha and Avia ben makes the other brocha. Except if the Avia ben, mamish, somebody's practicing to be a moil, wants to be a moil, then already we're going into a big machloikas apoiskim. The Shach Paskent, the Darkei Moshe brings already knows Ruah, that if somebody knows how to do a bris, he's not allowed to be mechabit somebody else to do the bris for him. So the Darkei Moshe tzurich here, mashne mikol mitzvah shlich shalutim shkamoisai. What's the difference? I know that b'chol mitzvah mitzvah boy yoisem b'shluchoi, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to make a shliach. I'm allowed to make a shliach. Truma that I'm a chuyv to take, I'm allowed to be mechabit somebody else. No, the Gemara is a mitzvah boy, but to say it's also to be mechabit somebody else, and the Shach is a tochas of metonish of the Ketzois is famous Ketzois, the Lamdus that everyone knows that it's a mitzvah shebegufoy, but whatever, as is dalucha. What is when the father doesn't know? But he observed a few brisen and he saw that the moil puts on a shield, a zwengele, and he just cuts on top of it. So let me just make the cut. When you set it up, I'll do the cut. First of all, what's the Milah? I want to do my own mitzvah. I said, did you write your own parshiyas? No, well, I can't do it. And this you could do. No, but you set it up for me, so I'll do it. Yeah, you set it up. First of all, even when we set it up, the majority of the time we have to fix and trim a little after that. But the father doesn't want, because then the geist and gemacht the mitzvah, and he's upset, doesn't want you to fix it. No, I think it's good. The David is kosher. Is that what you wanted? You wanted a Davidic child? I think that's what you want. But Lemaisa, the worst part is, in English the saying is monkey sees, monkey does. The Gemara calls on something that somebody isn't aware what he's doing. The Gemara calls Masek Koif Ba'alme. It's mice of a monkey. You ask the person who did the cut, in that excitement, because the Moy let him cut, 2 days later, do you remember what you did? No, I know I cut it, but he doesn't remember it. It's Masek Koif Ba'alme. He's not really doing something. He's not in it. He's just, a bigger mach. But Lemaisa, we don't see anybody. There's another things like this. It's negated that what's the olden days the minig was that you have 2 mahalim for every bris, sometimes 3 mahalim for every bris. What do you mean 2 mahalim? There's a mitzvah of chituch, to cut off the outer skin. There's a mitzvah of priya, to expose and peel off the underlying skin, which is for priya, and to make mitzitza. The minig was in the olden days you were mechabed somebody to make chituch, you were mechabed another moil to make priya, and a third one to make mitzitza. That was the minig it was done. Why? What was the minig based on? L'chayre, we know Ein mitzvah nikras ela misha gomra. A mitzvah is considered the one who finishes the mitzvah. So you can tell me the guy made mitzitza, he has the big mitzvah, and l'mushal, when it's a tainis day, he's the one who's going to eat. If it's tainis nitcha and some pascha that you're allowed to eat, so he's going to be Ein mitzvah nikras ela misha gomra. What's the shaila? No, so the pascha say like this. We find by Kehanim, the Mishnah says in Masechtas Yuma, you made a pious, you made a goydel, who should do this, who should do this. Now the keves, the shepsel that you made for Korban Tumid, the whole shepsel that didn't weigh much. It was a keves ben shona, sometimes it was 2 weeks old or 3 weeks old. One coin could carry it up on the mizbeach and put it on and throw it onto the fire. The Maisa, one took up the right foot, one took up the left foot, one took up the breast, one took up the front part. Why? The Gemara beroivam hadras melech, and the Gemara says, be mezaka, more people with a mitzvah. We see the same thing. By Milah, it's the same thing. One made the Chittach, one made the Priya. Today they reprinted the Moil book of the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer was a Moil, and he was a Rabbi Shah Yisrael, and he wrote down every bris that he made. And you could see that 90% of the bris that he made, or Chittach or Priya, not both. Because that was the mini goyim to make it like this. The Yavit Shreit, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Because whoever starts the mitzvah, he should finish. And Memele, he says, somebody told me that by Kehanim he made like that. The Mishnah Yuma says that in Kippur the Kohen Gadol started the Shechita, and immediately he had to be Mekabel the Dam as well. So somebody finished the Shechita. So the Gemara, that only happened on Yom Kippur. But throughout the year, you wouldn't allow anybody else to make the second part of the Shechita, because one mitzvah you don't split in half. So the Yavitz, Mal v'loy pura kili loy mal. So Milah without Priya is not a mitzvah. So you're missing, you didn't do anything. So Memelfa didn't do anything. So you can't split it. It's not like carrying up the Avedim to the Mizbeach. It's similar to Shechita. That's the Yavitz Shechita. But the Rav Poskim don't say that. Pascha differently. And actually the Maral in Guradia, in Pashas Ekev, one Pasha starts saying, Kol ha-mitzvah shonochi mitzav eschem hayoy. So Trasha should have said Kol ha-mitzvos. What do you mean Kol ha-mitzvah? So Trasha medrash agoda, that Kol ha-mitzvah, the ganze mitzvah you have to do. Don't do a half a mitzvah, so Trasha. Because a mitzvah, ha-maskal b'mitzvah omer b'y gemoid, ve'ein ha-mitzvah nekras el al-misha goymra, says Rashi. And Rashi brings a raya from Moshe Rabbeinu. It says in Yeshua, ve'es atzmos Yosef asher helu mi-mitzrayim. And the bones of Yosef that they, the Klal Yisrael, brought up from Mitzrayim, they covered b'Shechem. They buried in Shechem. Fragt the Gemara, what do you mean, helu? Nobody, Moshe took it up. Moshe worked all the time. The Trasha, the Medrash says, but Moshe Rabbeinu didn't finish the job. He only brought it to the Ever Yarden. And across the Yarden until he got to Shechem, the Bnei Yisrael did. Memele ein ha-mitzvah nikras al misha gomra. Thus made the Pusik, Kol ha-mitzvah, Zuktat the Maral. Oh, so therefore, I'm going to learn from Rashi that when it comes to do a bris, don't let somebody do half a bris and somebody do the priya, somebody do the chittuk, somebody do the priya, because ein ha-mitzvah nikras al misha gomra, make sure that it's one person. Then he says, oh no. The Rashi brings the moshel from Kavura. Kavura is not a half a mitzvah. The haloah is a haskola and a hechsher to the Kavura. So that's why it's two different things. Mashalik and Milah, the choitach makes definitely a mitzvah. The pareya is going with the mitzvah, but each one in itself, once you make the priya, then retroactively the chitach was also a mitzvah. Zukt maral, memele, therefore you could split a bris. So the Maral talks about this, and that used to be the minig oilam. The problem with this was always on Shabbos. On Shabbos kumtos that Yankel was the choitach, Moshe was the pareya. Now the shaila was Yankov Machal Shabbos or not? There's no question, the Gemara says Mefurish, that when Yankel cut only, and he walks away from the bris. So people tell him, Yankel's Machal Shabbos, when you, what'd you do here? You started bris, the child is still in oral. I know of the Palga the mitzvah, I'm sorry, I did the first half, you finish. It's my responsibility, but it doesn't finish it. I said that to Gemara. So Zuk the Gemara, the Lushna, I knew of the Palga the mitzvah, I made a half a mitzvah. The machloik is a big machloik for the Ramah and the Marshal. The Ramah Paskins, from this Gemara we learned basically that you're allowed to split on Shabbos also have two Mehalim, because the first one is that I know of the Palga the mitzvah, it's no problem. You finish. When you finish, the child will be Ozur, and we both will have a mitzvah. And if you don't finish, well, it's not my problem. There's a Chiyav on Besdin, let Besdin find somebody to, we find that sometimes in a little steeple, somebody goes there and daven Shemoneh. When it comes to Hayek Shemoneh, he runs away. And the Gabba is, who can I find to make the Hayek Shemoneh? Same thing happened by Bris. The Gemara's mashma. He ran away and doesn't find somebody to finish the Bris. But the Marshal says you're not allowed to, and the Maisa, the minig oilam is not to allow splitting on Shabbos. That became the minig years ago. The Chassam Sofer himself in his Moil book, the first few years, in his young years, Shabbos also chitach alone or priya alone. Then there's a tshuva and Tuf Kuf Ayin Daled, where he writes that yesh lahachmed, and from then on you don't see in his Moil book anymore that he made a half a bris on Shabbos. That he was machmer as the tshuva yesh lahachmed. So Memele is geblieben dem. Was?
Menschen staan op de bris aan?
Nein, hand nicht. So will ich sagen, es hand Shabbos erwarte keine nicht. It's a fill of day legabe an Avia Ben who wants to make a chitter. Lo terav of Paskin, you don't start doing something which you can't finish. If you can't make priya, according to the Yavitz and other Paskin, and what's a Bamel, if you put everything together in one package, don't do it and don't bother with it. Let the Moil, who's a professional, do this job properly. It should be like Tchila Kosher Bris, and then the Avia Ben will make his brocha that he has to do and make his suda. That's what he has to do. But don't worry about the rest. There's no Milah. So that's mitzvah says alo'av lumeles benoi. We learned that. Is there anything else that we have on this? Next, ein mula nachshtur tzachama. We spoke about that already. Yeah, about the now there's a shaila. The Yavitz brings up a shaila, and it almost happened already once in a Hasidic place. I'll explain to you in a moment. But the Yavitz brings a shaila like this: a moil arrived late in town, and till he gets in to where the baby is, it's bein hashmoshes. Should he do the bris bein hashmoshes, and maybe it's a chasufik, maybe it's still Yom Hashmini. So Mekayim mitzvah Yom Hashmini, or since it's a sufik already, I should push off for the next day. So the two tzedodim are like this: if I push it off because I'm a sufik now, I'm surely not Mekayim mitzvah Yom Hashmini. But if I do it now, maybe I'm Mekayim mitzvah Yom Hashmini. Or which is better? Eze Odef. In the Yavitz Paskin that you should do it bein hashmoshes, because that at least you could be yotzim and don't do it tomorrow. Minig Oilim is not like that. Minig Oilim is that whenever it comes to bein hashmoshes, and since we Paskin in America, I told you last time from Satmarov the story that hey, this shit is from Shkia on, it's always considered the next day. Today, the Skedana Rebbe says, tomorrow I have a bris beim tomorrow afternoon. But he davens very late Shachris, and the bris comes out, sometimes between Shtul Shemresa and Hech Shemresa they make the bris, because it's about a minute or two before Shkia. So according to the Yavitz, the Rebbe doesn't have to rush so much, but he does. He does in Paskin like the Yavitz, and he rushes, and they do the bris usually about 10 minutes before Shkia. That's the lately it became. What happened once was, we had a case like this, we were going to, a bris was made for late afternoon on a Tainus day. Mostly yesterday, I had a bris in Lakewood 7 in the afternoon. I had one in the country, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then Lakewood 7 in the afternoon. 7 o'clock, okay fine. What happens when you're stuck in traffic? There's an accident at the Garden State Parkway, and you arrive, you have to Shkia. What do? Okay, so Lakewood's not a problem, you call another mile. But I had a case, I was once going to Bridgeport, Connecticut to do a bris, and they made it a late afternoon bris, and the highway was closed. I got there about 6 or 7 minutes before Shkia, and we did the bris. We had a cell phone already then, and we were able to tell them, have the baby there, have the sandik there, everything. It'll take me 2 minutes to open up my case. And Ishmael said, that's what we did. Baruch Hashem. And I'm always petrified about the Yavitz. What should we do? But Lemais, if somebody did what the Yavitz does, then he goes the next day when he takes off the dressing, he makes out of his bris. Because, you have to do it. Lemushel, if you get stuck with the Rebbe, and as a chus of the Rebbe, and the bris has to be done by the Rebbe. And my mail at the chus says, I don't mind. If my Rebbe tells me you could do it 5 minutes after Shkia, for me to do is git. See it for the Rebbe is git for me. That's how real chus talks. What does he do? What does the Moel do? So the Moel doesn't tell anything to the father, so he goes the next day, quietly, and he takes off the dressing. He makes one latofas dan bris, on the Shem mitzvah, and if the father would find out, he would kill him. Don't do it, but he can do it.
What is the bracha? The Rebbe, what is the bracha? You can say from the Yavitz.
I said, say by the bracha, the philosophy of the Yavitz. Like, kill you don't do bris then. I mean, the bracha, no, was auch done. And if he's a smart guy and he's Mavliya Deshem, I don't know, it might start, question, whatever it is. Leave that up to every moil has a problem. Mitchashietiv is a problem. It doesn't solve everyone's problem. But that happens, that happens occasionally. Talking about this, there's the suffix now. The mitzvahs, we spoke about, I don't know if we spoke about it last week. These are Magdim and the mitzvahs. The bit should be done in the morning. That's when it should be done. Definitely, these Magdim and the mitzvahs, we learn that from Avraham Avinu. So, Machloikas Rishonim, is it a deraisa or the Rabbonen only nasmachtet ba'alma? If it's a deraisa, then it's a big shaila. Can I push off a bris for the afternoon? Why did I push it off yesterday for the afternoon? There were about 5 bris yesterday in Lakewood, 7 o'clock or 7:30. Why? Because one father lives in Baltimore and the other in Flatbush. But the other one lives in Scranton, the other one lives in Lakewood. Now, what if the tatas will come in the free and waste the whole day? It's very hard. They don't know what to do. So, in order to it can't make the Torah, so difficult, and it has to be pleasant for people to come and be part of the mitzvah, and to make the mitzvah without the parents there failed in the mitzvah. The Shabbat Tshuva brings that out lagabe the 9 days for parents who can come and be mishtatev in the simcha, that if the avia ben is mitzad, that his father, grandfather, or uncle is not going to be there, that where it says you can only have 10 people for a fleishi gesud. The trade meanings anyway, you have more, but there it says that only 10. But when it is a zaydim with the uncle that you close to, you want to have, so you're allowed to do it. That's a chelik of the mitzvah. So Rabbi Moses, the Moel Leko, told me that he once asked the Moshe Feinstein a long time ago. The Moshe says you can make the bris in the afternoon, and that's the many goyim. Where you see similar that it's done, in Shulchan Aruch it says in Hilchas Tisha B'av, if a bris is on Tisha B'av, what do? So the Ramo Paskins, you finish kinnis usually about 10:30, 11 o'clock. If it's the first minyan, you finish 9 o'clock. Or 8 o'clock, how early something, the people who go to work. But you usually finish by 10:30, 11. Now, when do you make the bris? The reason Magdim and the mitzvah, you should do it before Chatzos. But if you do it before Chatzos, you can't wear a talis. And you do it with, you're not allowed to put on Big Shabbos, for the bris also not. So a lot of people say, a bris on a talis on a Big Shabbos, so they make the bris after Chatzos. So some have a mincha right away, but some make it, between Chatzois and Zman Mincha, you have that 40 minutes or 35 minutes, that's when they make the bris. But then you can put on a talis, and you can go on, load some shittas put on big the Shabbos. So you see that you're mevatel zriza magdima le mitzvahs for a hidden in the mitzvah. So here they also feel that this is a similar story, that this is a hidden in the mitzvah, that my father, my uncle, and my zeder, my shver, and whole families together, that makes a ruach of the mitzvah. Mamela, you do it. And a lot of people do it, and a lot of people don't. They dafka do it in the morning, and who comes, and who doesn't come, So that's already a herikasach, vizim a paskin. But if I learn these magdimin is a deraisa, and this type of hidden is only a duvar toiv, a mitzvah min amnufchar is a shaila, which one is like a order for not. But of poiskim paskin, as these magdim and mitzvahs, the Gemara is masmech an Avram Avinu. From there we learn out, the Gemara says, so these magdim and mitzvahs at tzafra, and then the Gemara says tul chatzois. So tzafra is considered tul chatzois. So a lot of poiskim say that when I learn these magdim and mitzvahs means I don't have to do it now in the summer when the Nates is 5:20, we don't have to do Bris 5:20. I mean, maybe yes, but nobody does it. The Maisa, you do it when you normally daven and right after davening. But you can also wait till Chatzos and you're not over on Zerizim Magdim and Mitzvahs at Tzafra. The Chazal, you're not over. There is definitely Zerizis to do it in the Tzafra. There's also Zerizis when you do it. But the Iker Chazal was at Tzafra means till Chatzos, and till after Chatzos shouldn't wait. The Baal Piskei Choshen, Rabbi Yankel Bloy, who made this for Bris Choshen and Rabbi he made Bris Yehuda, große Gung when you Schleim. So I went to schmooze with him. He told me when he had his first baby, I think I said the story last time, no? No, Rav Dushinsky, okay. So he was Mechabit, the older Rav Dushinsky, Yishleim Ruf, in Tufshi and Ches, in Tufshi and Zoyen. He was Mechabit him Sandukos, and there was a Bris in Bris Medrash, but his moil was also Shoichet, and he went out to give out Shrol. Whoever was in Schleim, in those days, give out Shrol was like Monsey to Washington Bridge. That was the head of Merkik. Today it's part of the neighborhood already. But in those days there was nothing there. So the Shoichet says, I'm going to shecht in the morning, I have to shecht some chickens, and then I'm coming down to do the bris. So there was one bris there, which was finished, and the moil is not there yet. So he tells me, the moil von der erste Kind hat gewartet in der Winkel mit der Tillemel, als mein moil soll nicht kommen, das weiß ich. Aber, no, so I went to Rav Dushinsky, and I asked Rav Dushinsky, he was Sandik, and he was a Rosh Hashiva also, should I use the second moil, or should I use this moil? So, should I wait for the second moil, or should I use this moil? You were mechabed the second moil, you're not allowed to be chayzer, you wait for him. An hour later, I went over to him, he said, no problem. So like this went once an hour, I went over to him, should I wait? You're mechuyev to wait. The next, when it was 15, 20 minutes or half hour before Chatzos, I went to him and I said, Baltis Chatzos, no, jetzt müssen wir schon machen the bris. You have no right to take it away from him, bis Chatzos, but once Chatzos would come and then you're over on these Magdim and the mitzvahs, that is already a chiyuv, so he told him then you should, that's it. So it had a halachic ramification. Bis Chatzos, I'm mechuyev to wait. After Chatzos, I have a right to tell the moil, I'm sorry, you couldn't make it, and there's a din of these Magdim and the mitzvahs. Something's wrong. If I say something, you're going to have to get up. Don't run away. Stay here. I'm just... Okay. What? But if you're chused and you wait for your Rebbe, that's many goyim to wait, even if it's late. The Shiva wouldn't let you wait.
No, sometimes
I doubt the Shiva will let you wait. Bederach klar, you know what? Bederach klar, ich weiß nicht. Es ist ein chassidischer Rosh Hashiva, weiß ich schon. Ich habe dort weiß. Das ist ein Metzies, das ist ein... Es kann sein. Es ist nur ein Saloch, ich weiß noch nicht. This is the Yeshiva in the store. Yagdil, what is it called? Not the Brisker Yagdil. Isn't it not the Chassidish Yeshiva? It's not whatever it is. Okay. I don't live there. I don't know that. It's okay. Fine. Let me weiter. Choyle einmal nois hachiyavri. A choyle you're not allowed to make a bris on. Now choyle is something very interesting. Everyone knows if a child has temperature, fever, then you're not allowed to make a bris. If he has fever, that's called a choyle kol haguf. What does it mean choyle kol haguf? You know, in the olden days here, kol haguf. How do you know half a guf, not choyle kol haguf? Now we know anything which is system-wide. The whole system of this child is affected. That's called choyle kol haguf. and something which is localized. Sometimes you have an infection on a fingertip. That's usually you can even give just a cream and a localized medication, and that's going to heal. That is not called a choyle kalaguf, even if it's very painful. While it's painful, you're not allowed to make a bris. The halach is kol yelet shehu mitztar. A baby that is in tzar, a baby's in pain, and the baby's in a lot of pain. He's probably means he's crying. You're not allowed to make a bris on him until the pain goes away. So the poskim start saying, so what happens if a baby's hungry? He came to the bris and he's extremely hungry and he's crying. Are you allowed to make the bris or not? So they say that's a derech olam diga pain. That's not a pain which is something which is not usual. This crying of the baby is a lemushel. A baby has an infection, a rash, which is an infection. You're not allowed to make a bris because it's an infected. But what is when he has a rash? The rash, there are a lot of babies that are born, after 2 or 3 days they develop a rash. And the doctor says that's nothing. It comes, it goes, after 2 days it goes away. But b'shas ma'aseh it's there. But that is rogel. The babies, the regilus is that majority or a big motzi, the chelik of babies have such rashes. These rashes are part of babyhood, of infanthood, then that's not a problem. So, baby crying because he's hungry, that's not called yeled. When you say means the baby fell down and hurt his. They dropped the baby and he hurt his hand and he's crying because his pain that is caused something to his hand or anything similar to that. That means kol yeled shu mitztar. So if a baby has a little infection on his finger, it's called localized infection, and that you don't do a bris. Now many times you have a localized infection and the doctor's treating it for a whole week with antibiotic, with what is it called, Bactroban or whatever it is, or something stronger, and it doesn't go away. So the doctor decides we have to give him internal medication. We have to give him now medication. That means that this infection, his blood system doesn't allow. The reason that the local medication did not help is because it's systemic. And here is where it's coming out and it's presenting itself. But it is systemic, then you have to wait already 7 days after it heals. Because that's called choyle kalaguf. Whenever the baby has to take internal antibiotic, that's called a choyle kalaguf. If it's good enough with outside antibiotic, that's a choyle. Now what happens, the baby has fever and the doctor says, doesn't say anything in the baby, you run to the baby has 101 fever, and you run to the doctor and you tell the doctor says, look, see the baby is schwitzing, he's sweating, he dehydrated. When the baby dehydrates and he has no fluid in his body, he's lacking fluid, so his body temperature elevates, give him fluid, give him a bottle with even sugar water, and you see it's going to go away. And kachava went away. Now, do I have to wait 7 days after it went away? This happens many times in the 4th day, the 5th day, especially in a hot day like this, it can happen, and you don't have the baby in an air-conditioned room. By the way, baby should always be in an air-conditioned room. In the nursery, in the hospital, the baby is always in an air-conditioned room. If not, he sweats. He can't say, "Mommy, I'm thirsty," or we can say it, but he can't say it. So then the baby gets dehydrated and he gets a fever. Now, kol zaman he's dehydrated, you're surely not allowed to make a bris, because that's a choyle. Even if it's only a localized choyle, it's something. But once it goes away, it's now a shaila, do I have to wait 7 days? So Shlomo Zalman writes like this: if the normal body temperature is 98.6, if it went up to 100.6, and the doctor says it will only due to dehydration, he gave him fluid and went away, you're allowed to make the bris as soon as it went away. But if it went up to 101, and even though the doctor says that it went away and it was only because of this, he says that's called already a choyle gomer, and you have to wait 7 days from when it passed away. So it's one of the things that the doctors don't understand, but the Psak Halacha is like this. And the Shlomo Zalman told me once, Azach v'shteit klur in Chazal, kenach mach nicht verlassen auf the doctor anders. Meaning to say, if the Chazal tell us that this is what it is, then you can't say. The Mushal, the Yaakov Kamenetsky used to say, doctors say, a little yellow on a baby, that's nothing. Only if it's extremely very bad, you should make a bris. The Yaakov Kamenetsky used to say, I can't listen to doctor. The Chazal say, yelet shehi yorek, tinik shehi yorek, and yorek is a machloik what it is, but the Kabbalah is that it means the baby is yellow. So Milah, I can't go by what the doctor says. Because if the Chazal say no, then you can't make the bris. That's the way for Aruch HaShulchan is mashma like that. For most of the poskim, it's mashma like that. But by the temperature, by this fever, there's a shaila if a baby has fever, are you allowed to make a tufas dam bris or not? Let's say a child was noiled more, and you have to make a tufas not shaykh. We had a case of a person in Russia who had circumcision by a doctor in the hospital, and he was becoming frum and he wanted to have dam bris, but he had the flu 4 days ago. He just got out of the flu 4 days ago. So first we had a shaila. We were able to call it that time. We had a teenager also shaila. We called it Padva, the Cheshav Ephraim in London. We were able to call London. We weren't able to call America. You had to reserve a call. It was easier to call England. And we called him, and he said the halacha of 7 days is a fever nishkanafkim in a baby or a godel. Once he has fever, you have to wait 7 days even on a godel. But here was a shaila on a tufas dam bris. So most poskim say that a tufas dam bris is the same as a milah, and the Chazal paskin you don't make a milah only after 7 days. The Shlomo Zalman Auerbach has it as Hanta Ha'ora. He says in the hospital when somebody is sick, every 4 hours they come and they take a drop of blood from him. So how can I say they're drawing blood from this man while he's mamish sick, while he has fever, which you want to check his blood for the infection is. If the sepsis is there, it goes away. So how can I tell him that 3 days later I can't be matzah dam bris? I've been doing that for the last week to him, right? So Milah, he says, so but Pashtis, he says, he felt that a tufas dam bris does not have it's not a halach in Milah, als din Milah, it's a halach in the Eitz Maisa HaMilah. That means you don't do a Maisa HaMilah if the person was sick. However, this is not called a Maisa HaMilah, you're just drawing a drop of blood, which you were doing the whole time anyway. Now Milah, he says that's not an issue. So he passed it, you're allowed to be matzah dam bris. But Rav Paskim say that it has to do, the Chazal said you don't make a milah on anybody within 7 days.
The 106 by a baby.
Pardon?
The 106, the 126 by a baby. It's a medical thing, what's
halacha? Halacha. Achsa the Gemara says Achsa Sechame.
He said it up to 100.
Oh, why Rabbi Yosef, why the Shlomo Zalman said that?
Yeah.
Maybe he has doctors, I don't know. But Pashas says mashma from the way it's written that he thought that babies elevate and go up and down. Fever goes up and down, throughout the day also. It's not, you don't have 98.6 exactly every day. Exactly. It'll go up to 99.2. There's something which is the regil to move up and down. That doesn't become a choyle kalagov. Anything more than 2 points up becomes a shloik regilis. That Moshe Feinstein told me once, there are many babies that can't keep their body warm. They have to put the baby in a warmer. It doesn't keep its temperature. Usually it happens about premature babies. So the Moshe told me 2 degrees lower than normal, that means under 96, it's considered a choyle kalagov. It's the same thing. It doesn't mean dachza officer seichame. The Gemara says officer seichame, but the Rambam and the Lushon Chaber is officer seichame oiki yotzeboy. The Lushon Chaber. So the oiki yotzeboy means that only dafke this. Anything which is similar to this, that the system is not operating the way it should. Are we done?
What are the numbers?
Let's say one say yes.
Eye infection, ear infection.
Okay, ear infection is definitely choyle kalaguf because ear infection is internal. It's not. They treat it with drops, yeah, but because the infection is there. But the mice is that it's considered choyle. As I feel all the poskim. Eye infection is by eye infection zoid. The halacha in Scheiner is the Shulchan alone and the Chazal in Masechtas Yevomis make already a distinction. Koev loy eina keiv muet, you don't have to wait 7 days. Koev loy eina keiv big keiv, you have to wait 7 days. The Gemara brings that to the Gabbal Moses Mefurish. So Shulchan vet gepaskend, what is it a keiv muet and a keiv godel? So we don't know exactly what it is, but in Hilchah Shabbos is the halacha on certain eye infections you machal Shabbos. So those that you machal Shabbos on, you have to wait 7 full days for this. Now the same thing goes with eye infection. The majority of eye infections that are motzi today come from because the baby is born and the tear duct that's supposed to let the fluid go out is blocked. We know that if I take a glass of water, I put it outside, if the clean glass of water and clean water, after 3 days, they'll be full of bacteria. Stagnated fluid becomes infected. Or it gets whatever bacteria grows in it. Okay? And same thing happens in the eye. When the eye has a black tear duct, and the mothers are not told what to do, then as soon as you see it's black tear duct and the baby's starting to tear from that eye, start washing it out. If you wash it out, it's not going to be stagnated fluid. It's not going to get infected. And technically, when it starts with that goo coming out, if you start washing it once an hour with boiled water that cooled off a bit, it's going to go away within a day. You don't even need medication for it. But if you neglect it, after 2 days, that goo turns into infection. And once it gets infected, there's a suffix ready for tzkavila ein of cave meruba. The Chazal say an interessante halacha, which doctors today have no idea on what the Chazal base it, but the Chazal say, why koiv lo ein of cave meruba? You have to wait 7 full days. Shuraika de eina beliba talia. The nerves of the eye come from the heart. And if the eye is infected, it affects the heart. So the Gemara that an eye which is properly infected is considered that the baby is suffering from the heart problem, and maybe you have to treat it as a real choyle kalaguf. That's what the Chazal say. And we can't be making this what the Chazal say. Doctors sometimes say it's an infected, but you could do the bris, it's not going to harm him. A doctor has no right to say that. Once he says the baby is infected, then it has the din of a choyle, then you're not allowed to make a bris. Even if it's a choyle, not kalaguf, but kol zman the choyle is there, you're not allowed to make the bris. The shail is only, do you have to wait 7 days or not 7 days? But the doctor's not nemen to say that this infection won't harm him. Because the Chazal, we spoke about it last time, the Chazal gave us a klal. Let me give you another mushal the Chazal say. The Gemara says that in Masechtas Yevomis, the Gemara says the 40 years in the Midbar, the Yidden didn't make, and all the babies that were born, there was no bris in the Midbar. 40 years, for 39 years, they didn't make any bris in the Midbar. Why didn't they make any bris in? So the Gemara, because Loi Nosh Velehem Ruach Tzefainis. The Ruach Tzefainis did not blow. Why? Because the Yidden were Shtikel and Cherem, because they were made the mice of the Egel and the Meraglan. So there was no Ruach Tzefainis. And you didn't want, because that Nana Kovet would have been able to fall away if there's a strong wind. And a refuah needs Ruach Tzefainis. So if you have a wound and there's no Ruach Tzefainis, it's not going to heal. So since it's not going to heal, you're not allowed to make a bris. From there, Bechlal, we learned something, that when something doesn't heal, the bris, you're not allowed to make a bris. You have to wait till you know it's going to heal. We'll talk about this in a minute. So the Gemara says, Hilkach, Omer Puppe, B'yoyme de Evel on Malinen. If it's a cloudy day and cloud doesn't let the Ruach Tzefainis come, a north wind, then the halach is you don't make a bris. Because the child's not going to heal that day. It's going to cause some problems. But today, Scheiner B'soyim Hashem, says the Gemara. No, today you could do it because it's minig oilim, they came to do it already, and Eibishter, the Shonim say, what does it mean, Shonim B'soyim Hashem? That Eibishter sometimes has a midah that when he sees that Klal Yisrael does something, Shonim B'soyim Hashem. I once heard from a tzaddik, the Welt sucht, Kvate is a segulam zalum kinder. There's no such segul, it doesn't say anywhere. In Germany and in old Hungary, Kvata meant a sandik. Kvata is short for Godfather. Means the Godfather, the one who did his religious thing. So that is a segula, that says already in the Medrash, but not Kvata. So somebody told me, as the Gemara is a Klid Nishoy Mipsoy Hashem, as the Yidden machen a Narishkeit, Debish to watches on them, and as Yidden zugen as a segula, Debish as Maske. As Yidden zugen as a segula, Debish is Vilnius. Anyway, but here the Kasha stellt sich, what's the Chazal stand like this? Omer of Puppe, Yoime Devi, you don't make a bris. So why are you telling this to me? You want to let me know that I'm a Pesi? But what the Chazal want to do? Zogt the Muki Yosef on the Platz dort in Yevomes, zogt what is if a father says, Ich bin nicht ein Pesi? Sag a Shoyme Psoy, Hashem, aber ich bin am Chibbedige Yid, ich bin nicht kein Pesi. You call me a Pesi, I won't talk to you again. They don't want me Pesi. Zogt the go. I said, wait. The baby is the 8th day in the morning, and the mother comes and says, it's a cloudy day, but the Chazal says, Shoyme Psoy Hashem. So the Tata, excuse me, I'll do the bris tomorrow. Cater, don't worry about cater. I'll do it tomorrow. It's a nice day, sunny day. Zukt and Yosef has a right to wait. Why? Because I'm not mechuyev to be a Pesi. If the Chazal told me that it doesn't heal, even mitzvah yom hashmini, Allah has come of a kam shloibizmana. We only spoke last week or last time. Erev Pesach, the guys who wanted to make the suit Erev Pesach, you shouldn't have to fast. That the Nob Yehuda didn't let them do. But if there's any benefit for the baby, the halach is you're allowed to wait. There's no question about it. So you see that even something which the Chazal were matter to do, but your father has a right to say, Allah has come of a kam is something which the Chazal say you're not allowed to do. You're mechuyev to say I want to wait. You're not supposed to do it. So even if the doctor tells you you're allowed to do the bris, mitzad halucha, once he said that this is an infection, it's minimum a choyle be'echad mevorov, Choyle Bechet Mevar, you're allowed to do bris. And many babies, you're not allowed to do bris, sorry. Many babies are born, and as they come out, they break their shoulder. Clavicle, it's a fractured clavicle, that's what it's called. So the shaila is that considered a choyle? That's not considered a choyle. Because always when babies were born, sometimes there was a bump on the head, it swelled up, it becomes a swelling there. Sometimes there's a blood spot in the eye, because as he was pressuring to come through, he developed a burst blood vessel. But these things are common that happen, and the baby is not in tsar. Should this cause the baby tsar, then you're not allowed to make the bris. In Avnei Nezer, there's a shaila, a baby was born and the legs were bow-legged. Sometimes that happens, but they're very curved. And the doctor says that as long as the bones are still soft, before the baby is a couple of weeks old, if we break it and we put it into plaster, they called it gips in those days, and you straighten it out, you can heal him. But once you do that, you can make the bris mismanai. So somebody asked Avnei Nezer, "What's all my baby was born bow-legged," and the doctor says that in order for him to heal, he says, "Am I mechuyev?" So get rein and sachlom. This is first of all the mitzvah chalol yom shmini. It's not chal before that. And number two, at every mitzvah I say you're not mechuyev to give out more than a certain amount of money. Kolshka neguf, you're not mechuyev to give away. So he says for lifelong to suffer for bow-legged and walk through that you definitely have. You're mechuyev to do the operation, and you'll do. I am doing b'yadayim an operation which will cause the baby not to have a bris manoi. There's nothing at all. That's what you have to do. We don't have to worry about it. We had a case once, a baby that was born premature. Mamish, I think it was about 2 pounds or somewhere around there. And he went through stomach surgery, he went through another things that he needed. Then the baby was already 5 months old. It's 5 months old, the doctor says you can do the bris. Adarab, I want you to do bris as soon as possible, because if you wait a little longer, then you'll have to give him anesthesia. And blah, 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 blah. So Davia Ben calls me. So I look at the baby and I notice that the baby has a hernia. So I said to the doctor, the doctor said the baby needs hernia repair, but he doesn't want to do it. The baby had already twice anesthesia, general anesthesia, the last few months. He wants to wait. It's not an emergency, we should wait. But he did say that you should look out right after the bris and watch for 2 days, because sometimes the pain of the bris causes the baby to cry a lot. When he cries, the hernia can strangulate, and then it becomes an emergency, you have to operate. So he tells me, and the Shiva said you can do the bris. So I don't know, if the doctor tells you that watch out, the bris could cause the baby to have a surgery, I don't think you're allowed to do bris. I checked with my Shiva, said you're allowed to do it. So I hope you don't mind. Would you mind if we call up Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach? I have a cousin, a doctor, and it's a soul, is a Talmud. Goes to Reb Shlomo Zalman. So it goes to Reb Shlomo Zalman. Warte nicht. As the Roy versucht, that the bris can go to Zalman so machen, warte nicht. You're not allowed to do the bris. That means the baby was healthy. The matzav shehu, he's healthy. But if you do the bris on him, it could cause him to have something. Not that it's going to cause him, it could cause him. You have to be very machmir. We see this from the Gemara, that be mal, but there's no riach tzefaynis, you're not allowed to make a bris. Now there's not a problem, it could cause a problem, you're not allowed to make a bris. These are things of the halakha verses. I don't know, you gave wrong time. You should make them watch faster even. Okay. Shall I go on? No, I don't know the time. Was het zijn andere mannen?